Hey man, welcome back to another episode of what we now have deemed as Cola's Corner. Welcome back, Mr. Cola Metals. Y'all remember the family, man. What's going on, sir?
Not much, man. Doing good. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm doing just fine, man. On the way here, though, I seen a little white baby walking on the interstate in a T-shirt and a diaper. I figured nobody would believe me, so I didn't call anybody.
Good job. Yeah, good job. Nobody would have believed you.
Yeah. Speaking of messaging, you know what I mean? What's more important to you, the message or the messenger? The person delivering the information or the actual information?
It depends on the context. I think I've grown over the years to where I can say that before who the message was coming from, depending on, as I said, context is important here, but depends on the context you're saying, the messenger or the message, which one is more important. Now, I believe there is some valid points in who the message is coming from, because it has to be someone credible, someone of integrity. It depends on that. But sometimes even in that, if the information is valid and somebody make a point in certain things, I think I remember years ago there was this commercial. It was I think it's an auto commercial, and they was talking about the seatbelt. They was trying to encourage people to wear a seatbelt, and they crashed their cars. And at the end of the commercial, it says it had the dummies in there, and they tell you to wear your seatbelt. And after it crashed and the dummy is safe, at the end of the commercial, it would say, "You can learn a lot from a dummy."
I remember.
So sometimes my point is, I think you can learn a lot from everybody, even if in certain instances, I've learned what not to do by watching people get what I didn't want. So I think it's valid. You can learn just about from anybody. So I think they both carry weight, the message and the messenger, but it kind of depends on the context, because if there's things in your life that you're trying to accomplish and you look at somebody's life, if you're trying to get there, it's kind of the messenger is very important. But on the same token, sometimes you can look at somebody and they still have valid points in life to help you. So I think they are both important, but context is important with this question. Context is very important. But I think being open, like I said, you can learn a lot from
a dummy.
From a dummy, yeah. So I don't discredit anybody. Sometimes we look at people that may have degrees and all this, which I think is good, but sometimes people with just life experiences, I think may have an edge, because as someone said, it's better to tell or hear about, if you're going on a trip, would you rather hear about it from a travel agent or a tour guide? One has actually been there and done that, and the other one just sends you there because they read brochures and stuff. Yeah. They really have no real life experience. So I think just depends on context, but yeah.
All right. Now, can you remember a piece of advice you received from an unlikely source that stuck with you?
From a piece of advice from an unlikely resource?
Yeah, unlikely source.
Person?
Like maybe the what would we call him? The corner store griot had a
well, one thing, my mom wouldn't allow me to hang around the corner store too much. So
you don't gotta be there. He there all the time.
Yeah. Well, I can't think of one that really sticks out, but okay. I'm sure if I think long enough, I'm sure somebody, whether it was in like advice with like maybe, especially if you're talking about the corner, especially with cars and things like that, things like that I'm sure I have. I just can't think of one that really stick out that was very impactful for life altering.
Gotcha. They more cautionary tales.
Yeah.
Say no more.
Well, actually, now I think about it, so I said if I think about it long enough, I get something. Yeah, I did. This one guy was messing with me, and they was talking about, our guys doing, they be shooting the breeze and talk about women and stuff. And I made this joke, and he said, "You don't want to do that, man. You married and you got a family and everything. So no, that ain't for you." Now he was talking about doing stuff. Like he got right serious with that thing. So, stay, you stay on the straight and narrow. So, I got a lot of that coming up. I guess, they always say, not you, I hang out with certain guys. They were like, nah, you don't need to do that. Even though they were doing it.
Yeah.
They say, no, you don't need to do that. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll keep it on relationships real quick then. Do you think that there are valid boundaries placed on single people that are together since they're not married? Like, what should be expectations if you decide not to marry the person?
Expectations as should there be expectations for just like dating couples? That's what you're saying. Well, I'm gonna be careful with this when people watching. There's just should there be expectation? I think you have to be honest up front. I think that's the biggest thing. And right off the front, you need to. I think if you honest with, like you say, are we dating? And the old folk call it courting. Now, there's two different things. Dating is kind of casual. Courting is with expectation of a commitment later on. So I think if you let male or female, let people know up front, I'm just hanging out. We just hanging out, or what they call it, just hanging out. Netflix and chill. Are we just doing that? Or is this going somewhere? Do you see yourself in a long-range commitment? Now, I think a lot of people have unrealistic expectations in dating. And I'm going to say this, and we don't have many viewers right now, so hopefully it won't backfire. But either way, I'm going to say this. I think that some young ladies have unrealistic expectations more than men, because I believe that they go in with an expectation of what could be. And what could be is very dangerous than what really is. Because you could see something that's not there. And if you're not, I think if you be, and can I say this? And women don't understand, but most times women kind of control the relationship.
How so?
They kind of navigate. Well, because if a woman have these standards that she set up front, if she has this standard set up front, a guy is going to do two things. If he's a gentleman and is in there, he's going to stick around. If he's not, he's going to flee. If she takes the time, maintain whatever standard she has, the woman really, I know your brother don't want to hear this, but I'm not saying it in a negative way, but I'm saying that women kind of like navigates what will happen in the relationship. That's what I'm trying to say.
So you trying to say the women have the leverage starting out?
I think so. Yeah, because if like I said, if the woman sit up front and say, look, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm not gonna allow, this is what I will do, what I won't do up front, and then it's set, then she'll be able to see time. Relationships are time tested, especially up front. If you want to hurry up and get rid of something you don't want, if you want to sift through a relationship, take your time with it. You got to give it some time. People revere, it's up in the beginning. You're not meeting. Bishop T.D. Jakes said this: in the beginning of a relationship, you're only meeting the representative. You give it some time, you will meet the real person. So I think in relationships, you just give it a little time. And like you said earlier, those unrealistic expectations is dangerous. Yeah. And I think that I just feel like you shouldn't be expecting too much in a dating relationship. You're not committed. You're not bound by a commitment of what, unless you sit down and make it clear what you're going for. Then, you have Steve Harvey say, just chill and relax and let it go naturally. But that's a way you could go. But I mean, if you're serious and you know what you want, I just feel like that's a waste of time. But depends.
So realistically speaking, right, what are some things that you've seen or have heard about that people have done or are doing in relationships when they're single, two single people, as opposed to being married? Like, well, y'all shouldn't even be doing that. Only married couples should be worried about. That I ain't talking about the obvious part.
Oh, okay. I'm finna say you talking about sex. We'll start right there. Okay, well that's number one.
People gonna do that anyway. We can go on.
I'm finna say, well, that's off the top, and that's what really complicates the relationship.
Yeah, just as sure as birds fly, people gonna have sex, man. We can go.
But I'm just saying that's what really complicates the relationship. A young lady told me, I'm a hairstylist, so I talk to young ladies all the time. She said, if you take the sex out of the relationship, the relationship is not so complicated. Yeah, that's what she said. She said women will be able to make better decisions and everything because you're not tired. You don't feel like you're obligated. If you never get into that, you don't feel like you're obligated. So if he start acting up, or vice versa, you just say, okay, this is not going to work, and just go. But once you did what married people do, it's not that easy. Now, it's hard to talk about that without going down the spiritual road, because marriage is a spiritual union.
Hey, man, knock yourself out. This is Cola's Corner. Go right ahead.
Marriage is a covenant, so it's a spiritual union. So once you get into that, it does get complicated. But like that's one thing that maybe going in there too fast with that, and then expecting to pull back on a relationship, which is kind of complicated.
Oh yeah, you can't put milk back in the jug.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and buy another jug.
So that really you said it's the obvious, but there are then other things that young that I see that's a lot nowadays, and you even see it on Judge Judy, is that they buying houses and all of this as just couples. They're not married, but they're buying houses and everything, bank accounts and stuff together. I just feel like I'm old school with that. I mean, I just feel like none of that should go on in dating. That's just my personal opinion. I think that's too complicated without a commitment. You
signing the wrong contract.
Yeah, first. Yeah. You going in there doing all these things without any commitment. And then people will say, well, even you married people can leave. Well, yeah, they can, but it won't be that easy.
Process a little longer.
It's a process. Yeah. You got the state laws behind you.
You gotta really want to get rid of somebody to get a lawyer and then go.
Yeah.
That's really over with. That's really.
So you done got all this stuff and put all this stuff together. You got families connected. You got, if you have kids, you got all this, and you just dating. But cohabitation has really increased in this society. So.
But do you believe that you don't really know a person till you live with them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's true. I mean, you see them every day, all day. I mean, but, you live in the context of marriage. But I'm just saying, you really see a person for all the time. You see the moods, as someone says, you see them in every season, winter, spring, summer, and fall. Metaphorically and naturally, you see them when they're hurt, when they're disappointed, when they're happy.
That's the one that piques my interest the most. Naturally, I get to see you without all that other stuff on.
I wasn't talking about naturally like that, but yeah, that too. But I would just say, like you get to see them, when they're happy, when they're sad, when they go through things, and you deal with that, and that's what marriage is all about. It's not just about the fairy tale thing. Marriage is a lifelong commitment. So, yeah. I said, till death do you part. I'm surprised people ain't took that stuff out yet.
What, that death do you part?
Yeah, take the poor out, just say for richer. Take the sickness out and say health. People rewriting everything. So
say they're only temporary folk.
Yeah.
I can dig. Would you? I wouldn't say would you agree, because I thought about this a little bit. Arranged marriages. Do you think that's something that we should champion in our culture? Like how the dad or the mom would already have the person set up, so that way you really don't have the pressure of having to look for somebody. It's already somebody for you. You just got to maintain,
no,
keep yourself up.
No, I don't think so. I think you might need to move to that Eastern culture for that. I don't know. I don't know if you have that would fly too well in this Western culture.
Why not?
I mean, if people just, do you think so? You think they would arrange?
I believe if that's all you know, like.
I'm saying that's not all we know.
No. But you're thinking, I mean, people that are already here and submerged in Western culture. No, my kid, I'm already be talking to somebody with
a daughter for your son.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I get to choose how this is gonna go for you. You can't bring your struggle to my door on Thanksgiving, man. Uh-uh.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about that one. I don't know. I don't know how that would work.
I mean, I think it work out just fine. I mean, again, you already have somebody, then you ain't gotta go look for anybody.
Okay.
Now, whether y'all stay together, that's on y'all to make that work.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I mean, we might as well try it. What else is working over here? What else working? All you got is single people complaining about why they don't want to get married and how they can't find anybody.
Yeah, well,
if your folks cared about you, they'd have picked somebody for you. So you at least start out with one.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, but yeah, okay.
Hey, man.
You said give it a shot?
I mean, either that or just keep investing in cat food and dog food. I mean, it's up to you.
So you said marriage, you feel marriage is just not going in a good direction in America. That's what you said.
Ain't nobody, it's few and far in between. People ain't really studying marriage, man. People like the idea of the ceremony. Mm-hmm. And inviting people that they may or may not like to watch it.
So, okay. Why you think?
Think about it. They have a party for the wedding and the divorce. So they have divorce parties too. So it ain't like it's that sacred. You just like a party. That's all you mean to tell everybody. I just like a good party.
Well, yeah, maybe. But a lot of that comes from, I believe, is like you going in there with unrealistic expectations. People don't know what a marriage is supposed to be.
A party. Clearly, they think it's
a
party.
It's
a party. That's what it is.
It's not a party. That may be what they think. But, marriage is a covenant. So until, and especially in America now, it's really making a marker of what a marriage is. So that don't help any. So, but, I mean, I think marriage, I think, there's some people that's still getting married and excited about it. Yeah,
they 50. They like, man, before I kick the bucket, I might well,
No, I think the type of family you come from, that may help shape it as well. Most of the time, if you come from a family structure of husband and wife, that's more likely. Not saying that you will, but more likely if you've been in that environment, that's important to you. Mm-hmm. And if not, then it's not important to you. Mm-hmm. But, I'm not a marriage professional therapist, so I can only speak from where I'm sitting.
From your corner.
Yeah, but I believe that marriage is and will always be a staple for society. So if you see some of the biggest problem we have now, if you do a study on any like prisons, if you go do a study on childhood behavior, all these dysfunctions, most of the time, the main factor, that one thing that they all have in common is fatherless homes. Mm. And you can, and that's to go back again to marriage, man. Father, mother, children, in that order. So it's important whether we're looking at it through this natural eye and say it's not working. I think it's not so much that it's the institution as much as it is people's expectations and people's unwillingness to be committed to it. Marriage is a commitment, lifelong, a covenant actually, not unto be broken except by death.
So marriage isn't it's not okay. I'm married now. I can relax. That's not.
Oh no, okay. Marriage is when you get to work. Marriage, as my pastor would say, marriage is not for children. It's for grown folk. Yeah, marriage is hard work, man. Ain't let nobody fool you. It ain't a piece of cake. But in that, in saying that is that, as people always say, it's what you make it. So, are you willing to do the work? Anything worth having, you got to work for it, and work toward it. You can't be selfish in a marriage. That's one of the biggest things in America. People are so selfish. You can't be selfish and think you're gonna have a good marriage, man. You can't be selfish. You can't. You got to be willing to be constantly forgiving and talk through things, not pushing things back. A lot of people think, we're gonna compromise. I mean, just be quiet. No, compromise means you sit down, you talk it over with your spouse. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to be dominant over one another. And in this society, if you use the word submissive, man, then you get cursed out. Not just by secular women, but Christian women too, because they don't understand.
Well, if they cuss you out, they ain't Christian.
but they don't understand that submission is to be on both parts. So, but submission is not a negative word, but people turn it into that.
They got women who make livings being submissive.
Not like that, but yeah, in the healthy context, it's a choice.
Yeah, it's an occupation.
It's a choice. So yeah, that's what it is. I just think it's just selfishness.
What do you think would make marriage more appealing to people? Because that seems for the majority of people, they see marriage as a like something that's constricting.
Yeah. Yeah, they see. But then again, I go back to see that and how they see marriage. I believe is how they have experienced it or seen it in their families and all of that. Because if you see it as restricting things you can't do, maybe you shouldn't get married right then. And it's really hard to talk about marriage without implementing scripture, because you can't really explain it outside of the I can't really explain it that well outside the context.
Hey man, this your corner. I won't catch on fire if you start mentioning
I'm just saying it's hard to explain it out of the context for me, because if you don't have that mind to understand, marriage is like it symbolizes how Christ loved the church. Christ called the church the bride, and he loves it so much. And a man just have to, as a man, you have to have that kind of love, first of all, for a woman. And like I said, I don't know if it's old school. I'm of the last 70s generation, so so some things people may call it old school, but I don't. I just think there's things that as a man respects or treat a woman is, what can I say, it kind of sets the tone for the marriage.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Even when it keeps being shown that women don't like gentlemen.
Well, those type of women don't.
Oh, you still
real
so
women.
You talking about the women from the late 70s, like you talking about?
No. Well, no, I think there's some young ladies out there, especially if they come from a family where they have a good father in the home. Some of those, they would look.
Oh
like
well,
that.
yeah. I mean, you
because they've seen it. It's been modeled for them.
Yeah. Shout out to all 28 of y'all. But
I'm just saying. So do you believe they just settling for what they got to choose from?
Who, the dudes?
No, the women.
What you mean? We settling for? Have you been out there? You ain't out
No,
there.
I'm not been out there. I'm 25 years, so I haven't been out there. But he said you been out there.
yeah. My fault. Got carried away there for a sec.
He said you been out there. Oh, yeah, man. I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's a carnival out there now.
It's a carnival.
It's a carnival, bro.
Yeah. So
it's a carnival.
It's just a lot of things have changed, man. So what women expect, I think the dynamics is totally different these days. You gotta navigate.
Guys have standards.
Well, you gotta navigate between. It's different because women are working. They're what they would say independent, or they're professional. They doing all that. So
independent.
So what would you? I mean, as a guy, you gotta. I don't know how you would navigate through that. Just I guess both of you, like I said, you go back to at the beginning of your relationship and set those. If you have standards and non-negotiable. See, sometimes we worry about things that's surface things, but I think if you get down to the core values and you have the same core values, you'll be all right. Certain things that's non-negotiable. So things like who gonna cook or stuff like that. That's now if it's important to you, you don't want to, you don't want to dumb it down on it. But you got to make sure that core values, I think, are the same.
Core values. That sounds like a Italian word these days. Core values. That is.
Well, the things that's non-negotiable. Things that what I'm saying. I got some non-negotiables, and it'll be hard to work with that. Somebody totally different. Their values and things are way different than yours, and definitely not gonna make it. But I think you can work through things like if you get home first and both of y'all work, and you bring something, or you cook.
Yeah, like a potluck.
I mean, if both of you like working, you can't say I want my food. I mean, she worked just like you, so. A little issue like that you got to work on, young man.
You're not talking to me. My setup is great. What would be your way to strengthen community outside of people being married, of course? Because what I mean by that is, I know growing up they used to have like softball games on Sundays. It'd be like town versus town. So everybody from that town come play another town. All the kids get familiar with each other. The older people, they get to kicking it. That kind of kept the violence down a little bit. Because if you less likely to do somebody bad if you know them or have some type of familiarity with them. Not saying that people won't, cause I mean Cain killed Abel. Got it.
Right.
Yeah, see, I could sprinkle in some Bible too. But I'm noticing that there aren't any activities like that around anymore. At least none that I've heard about. Yeah. So what are they? Because you're in the community, you're part of the community. You guys do outreach and things of that nature. So what do y'all do to strengthen community?
The thing with when you say community, back in the day, community was maybe the Smith family, the Jones family, the Hill family. Everybody had a clan in the small community.
Right.
See, but the big thing now, most of those communities, especially like where we're from, people moved away. They not there anymore. It's not, people. The younger people have moved away. So there's no, as far as proximity, it's not like it was back then. So, families are kind of spread out. So when you say community, it kind of involved everyone. It's just, you talking about normally when we say community, we talking about us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's just the dynamics is so different with community, because I was just thinking, I was telling somebody about, even though where I live now, I know my neighbor's first name, but that's about it. I don't know that much about him.
Wow.
And something happened at her house one day, and the police and everybody was over there. She was out of town. They asking me questions. I said, well, I really don't know.
Y'all live in a neighborhood. It ain't no.
Yeah. So there you go. There's a lot of neighborhoods now. Not much community.
Right.
And even people where you know each other. Everybody, as they say, mind your business. They go in, go out.
Yeah, living with them for 10 years. I ain't never been in the yard before. I just speak and
just
keep
say
on
hi and keep on going. Yeah. So, but I think like smaller communities, like as generations have gone, man, they're not there anymore. So, in some areas you can have where families are still growing. You can have like community things, down home Maysville, they have those things at the park and all that kind of stuff. You definitely have to make an effort. You got to make an effort and be intentional about it, about the community. But like I said, like me, I live 20 minutes from my family, so I can get down there if I'm not tired or anything. So I think just community just look different, man. Community now involves a little everybody. It's not just us as it used to be anymore. Like I said, like where I am, it's a little everybody. It's all races and everything.
Yeah, but that's a neighborhood because y'all don't really know each other like that.
Right, but I'm saying that's most of it.
And that's what's keeping it from being a community. Nobody really wants to, I guess, really get to know the neighbor out there.
Right, yeah. I think that's gone the days when, I won't say gone, but I don't see it as much like where we come from, when people get sick or something, I remember my aunt, your grandma, when people would get sick, especially when the mother would get sick, like if the mother or the wife of the house would get sick, I've seen her cook a meal. I ain't talking about something little, take out a little bit for them and leave the rest for her. I've seen her cook big meals. Somebody's sick, she take all that on foot. She didn't have no car. She didn't drive.
Yeah, I know.
She took on foot.
Yeah, I know.
Pack it all up. If somebody wasn't there to take her, she would pack it all up, carry it to their house because she knew that the mom couldn't cook because she was sick, or she was in a hospital and something. And so that's the sense of community that we came from. But maybe, I try to do things on a lot smaller scale than that. But I think, like I said, I think with the way the family has kind of separated and dispersed a little everywhere, I don't think it's we may have a family reunion and get together every now and then, if we can get it together without fighting. But the biggest time we can get it together is at the funerals, which is sad to say that we gotta, I think as a community, that's one thing we need to get away from, going all home and having the bigger celebrations at funerals, and after the funeral kind of turns into a family reunion.
I mean, we do a whole lot of backward stuff, man. Like we have welcome home parties for people who went to prison and don't have no graduation parties for people who went to college and high school. So I mean, backwards is what it is. I'm just saying. Yeah, backwards, man.
So community has a sense that I grew up, it's kind of changed a lot.
How do you try to combat the lack of community and family interaction, being as though a lot of people have moved and you don't live as close to your family as you would like? Since you have a son, how do you kind of navigate that with him? Because I know family is important to you. So
well, definitely with my immediate family, I'm able to kind of make it my business on at least twice a month on Sundays. I go to my mom's house. Then whenever they have something, I try to make in the family down at home where we're from. I try to make it so he can, and most of the time he'll try to get there without me because he won't wait on me. If he hear they having something, he call his G-Ma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and make sure he goes. So that is the thing that we have to be intentional with, spending time with my mom, and so he can know, because I've ran into somebody in Swansboro, a young man, and I was talking to him, asking about his mama. He was just staring at me. I said, "He don't know me."
No clue who you were.
Yeah, he didn't. He not told who my mama was. He still like, "Who's that?"
Don't know her either. Huh?
Yeah, I said, "That's your great aunt." But so we have to be intentional with those type things. Yeah, you have to be intentional. It's just,
That picture book become a little more important the older you get, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. And plus, as the older you get, and I think when you're in your younger years, when you're working and doing all that, trying to store up things and create a future, I won't say it's not as easy, but you can get so caught up in doing personal things that you forget about it until something tragic happened. Then we come together, which that's good, but I think we need to try to make it a little more of our business to celebrate each other in good times.
Yeah, there's always 2 or 3 people who always say that at the funerals, like, we all get together more often. All right, we'll see you this time next year, man.
Yeah,
catch you at the next funeral.
Yeah.
Good times. Nah, man. Well, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to name this episode if you would like.
Okay.
If not, it'll just be Cole's Corner episode 2.
Yeah, let's go with that.
All right, Cole's Corner episode 2. Any parting words you'd like to leave with your viewers, man?
Since we were talking about community and we talked about marriage a little bit, neighborhood, I personally feel, I always felt, but now as I got older, a lot more I feel the importance of family. And, I don't minimize my family just to my natural family. There's people that I've connected with over the years that have been a blessing to my life, and I hope I've done the same in their life. And this could be a segue to the next interview, that I've learned how to appreciate relationships. They became very valuable to me, and so if you want to build anything, I think the greatest thing you can build is healthy relationships. That'll get you far in life than a lot of money and other stuff. Is healthy relationships. Some of the greatest things that I have acquired or I've experienced, given and added to my life, not have been because I had the money. It's because I was in a relationship with somebody, and they were able to connect me to somebody. So I just say build healthy relationships and be sure, as that, I don't know who said it. It's a quote that says, if you be the change that you want to see. I don't know who said it, but I forgot. But that's one thing that I hear a lot of people saying how they don't like this, how they don't like that, and complaining. And I can't stand complainers. That's one thing that irritates me. Because my thing is, if it irritates you that much, maybe God has gifted you with the burden of changing it and do something about it instead of complaining. So, yeah, be the change, build relationships, man. Take you further, you live longer.
Okay. Wise words from a wise man.